Please excuse any mispronunciations in this story. I mean no disrespect. This story is about Tonee Turner, who vanished from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on December 30th, 2019. She was 22 at the time and should be 26 years old now. Tonee was her usual friendly self when she stopped by Dobra Tea around 6 o'clock in the evening. She then got onto a city bus headed for the Hazelwood neighborhood where she lived. The bus driver noted that she got off at her normal stop on Giddings Street, but what happened to her after that is a mystery. She never made it home and was never seen again, or at least nobody knows if she made it home. A firefighter was riding his bike on the Homestead Grays Bridge and found a purse, a pair of shoes, and a ceramic pot on the pedestrian walkway of the bridge. He didn't see anyone on the bridge, so he took the purse home with him, leaving the shoes and vase behind. He checked the contents of the purse for anything that might identify the owner and found a cell phone, some keys, a water bottle, and a journal. The next morning, he called one of the phone numbers he found on the cell phone and reached Tonee's aunt. He explained that he found the phone and other belongings on the bridge and was trying to reunite them with their owner. She identified the phone as belonging to her niece, and he returned all of the items to Tonee's family Tuesday morning. The firefighter told Tonee's family that he had seen a pair of shoes and a ceramic vase next to the purse, but wasn't able to carry them back on his bicycle and assumed they were still on the bridge. But when family went to retrieve those items, they were gone. It's unknown who removed them from the bridge. Repeated public appeals for this person to come forward have gone unanswered. Since the items have never been recovered, no one can say for certain if they actually belong to Tonee or not. Tonee's family members were confused by the fact that her belongings had been found on the Homestead Grays Bridge. It was not part of the town where she would normally be walking around. Tonee was known for losing her phone, however, so it was possible she had left her purse on the bus and someone else picked it up. Tonee's mother, Darlene Johnson, tried to reach Tonee at her home Tuesday morning, but got no answer. She then started calling friends and other family members to see if any of them knew where Tonee was. Tonee and her sister Sydney had been texting back and forth Monday night, around the time Tonee left Dobra Tea, but Sydney didn't hear from her the rest of the night. At the time, she wasn't particularly concerned. She knew that Tonee had to get up early for work and assumed that she would talk to her the following day. Tonee worked full-time as a metal fabricator at Studebaker Metals, a jewelry shop in Braddock, Pennsylvania. She was scheduled to work at 8 o'clock in the morning Tuesday, but failed to show up for her shift. This was completely out of character for Tonee, who was known as a competent and dependable employee. She never missed work without calling her supervisor first. They called the Pittsburgh Police Department and reported Tonee missing. No one can say for certain if Tonee made it back to her house Monday night. Her roommate was out of town for the holidays, and none of her neighbors recalled seeing her. The red coat she was believed to have been wearing earlier that day was found at her house, so it seemed likely that she arrived there safely. At some point, she may have gone back out. Whether this was voluntary or not remains a mystery. Hoping to find some clues to her disappearance, her family members paged through Tonee's journal. Although there was some entries where she wrote about feeling sad, she certainly didn't seem despondent, and there was nothing to suggest that she might have hurt herself. Because of what her belongings had been found, however, it was something that couldn't be completely ruled out. Friends and family decided to search the area underneath the bridge for any sign that Tonee had jumped off of it. Despite an extensive search by both family and the police, No trace of her was found. No one who knew Tonee believed that she would have hurt herself. Sydney said that her sister was going through the very normal ups and downs of being a young adult, finding her place in the world, and that she was at a high point. On Wednesday, 36 hours after Tonee was last seen, the Pittsburgh Police posted a picture of Tonee on their Facebook page and asked for help in locating her. The post was shared 867 times, but failed to help the police find her. On her own Facebook page, Sydney wrote that the family believed Tonee might be traveling on Interstate 80, though she didn't say why. She said they didn't trust anyone she is traveling with and asked for anyone living along the I-80 corridor to be particularly vigilant. On Thursday, investigators went to Dobra Tea and spoke with employees who had been working on Monday. Marina Feck, the employee who had waited on Tonee that night, told police that the missing woman was a regular customer at the tea shop and had been chatting with another woman when she stopped by on Monday night. She said she was pretty quiet, but that she's not usually super talkative. She brought her tea, said goodbye to the employees, and then walked out of the shop. That Friday, family members received a tip that Tonee had been seen in Pittsburgh Hill District. This wasn't a part of town that Tonee was known to frequent, but they considered the tip to be credible. Along with a Pittsburgh police officer, the family spent the day going door to door on Linton Street, passing out flyers and asking residents if they had seen Tonee. Although they had been optimistic about the tip, they found no trace of her. Sydney told a reporter that there would be nothing there for Tonee. Tonee was well known in the Braddock community, and word of her disappearance spread quickly. On Saturday, friends and family held a vigil for Tonee at Braddock's Carnegie Library, where Tonee worked part-time as a ceramics teacher. More than 100 people crowded into the library's art lending room for the vigil, many of them clutching white candles as they prayed for Tonee to come home. Tonee was described as having a magnetic personality that drew people to her. She was best known for her artwork, her love of music, and the wonderful hugs she gave. Her friend Alexandra said that she was able to meet a person and they'd instantly love her. Tonee's mother attended the vigil. She was grateful to see how many people cared about her daughter, but admitted she was starting to fear the worst because of the time that had gone by without hearing anything from her. She said she didn't know how she was going to go on without her around. Another friend, Malcolm Thomas, said that he was trying to remain positive about the situation. He said that he refused to accept that she wasn't around somewhere. Tonee was an artist, educator, and dancer who grew up in the Pittsburgh area. She had loved art from an early age and had gotten in trouble with her mother after drawing on walls when she was little. She was very active with the Braddock Youth Project, first as a participant and then as a leader after she joined AmeriCorps. Shortly after she went missing, the moderator for the Braddock Youth Project Facebook page posted that many have grown accustomed to feeling her radiate love amongst different parts of the Braddock community. Like everyone else in the area, they were praying for her safe return. Sydney tried to remain optimistic that her sister would be found safe. She was feeling sleepless, wasn't eating, had anxiety, panic, and hope. She stated that throughout there had been tangible hope, and it was getting stronger every day. She did everything she could to spread the word about Tonee's disappearance, giving several television and radio interviews about the case. As weeks went by, however, the news media appeared to lose interest in the disappearance, and Tonee's case faded from the headlines. 2 weeks after Tonee went missing, loved ones held a prayer circle and dance meditation session in her honor. Dozens attended the event, held at the Glitterbox Theater in Pittsburgh. Sydney hosted the event. Nearly a year after Tonee was last seen, her friends and family held a silent march to remember her. All of her loved ones still held out hope that she would be found safe, and they hoped that the march would remind the public that she was still missing. Sydney wanted the march to commemorate not only Tonee, but all missing people. Although the family was initially satisfied with the Pittsburgh Police Department in their efforts to find Tonee, in a June 2021 interview, Sydney admitted that she was not happy with them. She felt they could have pushed more. She thought they really leaned on the idea that she had hurt herself. She wondered if the investigation was lax because of the fact that her sister was a black woman. According to the Pittsburgh Police Department, their investigation into Tonee's disappearance is still active, but little progress has been made. Tonee's loved ones know no more now than they did on the night that Tonee's belongings were found. But they continue to hope that Tonee is out there somewhere, safe and happy. Tonee had brown eyes and black hair, and at the time of her disappearance she was 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighed 130 pounds. Tonee was last seen wearing gray cargo pants, a gray shirt with orange writing on the back, and a black zip-up jacket. Her ears, nose, and bottom lip were pierced, and she had a spiral tattoo on her left shoulder. If anyone has any possible leads in this case, please check out the contact information in the description. Thank you.